So what do you take away from your trip here in West Africa? What are some things that stand out to you?
Coming here, it kind of ties back to where you get that from. And in touring the slave dungeons, and you see the horrors and the torture and everything they went through, and to know that they were there, some for 2-3 months in this one holding cell that held 200-400 people at one time, and then to take a trip on a boat to America and still survive the atrocities. It just connects that we are strong people. One of the things that really blew my mind more than anything was how the different churches participated in this. I knew some of that, but to find out to what level they participated and how they, I knew how, they used the Bible against, to enslave people, to say, obey your master,
What's happening, everybody? Here in Accra, Ghana, another Gateway experience wrapping up, and I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to hear from another one of our guests who joined us here from the United States. And guess what? All of my folks in the UK have been asking, Canada, the Caribbean, South America, those who are interested, you are more than welcome to join us on these tours. So just know this is not exclusive to United States citizens. This is not even exclusive to, I guess, European destinations or places of origin. Even if you're on the continent of Africa and you want to join us, you can join us here in Ghana, because there's not a lot of intercontinental travel as well, and that's what we're looking to encourage. But anyway, we're here talking to Millie, and she's going to share her experience. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. All right, so tell me what led you to Ghana and West Africa on this particular tour?
I was supposed to come with a friend of mine doing, a good friend of mine named Deborah, doing a year of return. And I had planned to come with her, but I had to be in a court proceeding, so I couldn't accompany her because it was in the middle of the trip. And so I said, if I get a chance to come again, I would. And 2020 passed.
Oh no.
So it increased my desire to go. And so it was something we were going to do, because she had become my big sister once I lost my brother, my only brother. So it was like losing another sibling. And so I had mixed feelings. So when my cousins, Diane Ciosi, invited me to join you all, I said, I gotta go. I'm gonna make it happen. And my office didn't want me to go, but they helped me to make sure I could accompany, because they said it's a once in a lifetime trip. So they worked with me so I could come.
Okay.
And so that ended up being a blessing. So.
Well, listen, everybody has a journey to get here.
Yeah.
Now, is this your first time on the continent?
No, I've been to Egypt.
Okay.
And I explored it and I loved it. And that was in conjunction with going to the Holy Land.
Okay.
So
you were in Egypt, and so that's more like northeast Africa, and then that kind of ties into Israel.
Yeah, and Jerusalem, Amman, Jordan.
That's right, Jordan is over there. So now you're in West Africa, which is a completely different world.
Right, it is.
A completely different culture, because a lot of times people think Africa, they think everyone does everything the same way, but the reality is it's very different depending on where you go.
True.
So what do you take away from your trip here in West Africa? What are some things that stand out to you?
One of the biggest things that stands out, our family, our parents, my mom, Diane's mom, my father, their father, instilled in us strength, faith, love, wisdom. And coming here, it kind of ties back to where you get that from. And in touring the slave dungeons, and you see the horrors and the torture and everything they went through, and to know that they were there, some for 2-3 months in this one holding cell that help 200, 300, 400 people at one time, and then to take a trip on a boat to America and still survive the atrocities, it just connects that we are strong people, and it just hit home. It just brought it all where where it comes from, your roots.
So the strength that you saw once you understood what they endured before getting to the ship, and then surviving the ocean,
right,
and then surviving even once they got to America,
right.
So it's kind of like we're supposed to be strong,
Yeah,
because we descend from that.
right, and it makes things clear about your struggles, that how we overcome, why we have that tenacity never to give up. You see it, you understand it from a different level, a different perspective. You kind of know it internally, and you just think it's because your parents at home taught you, but you really see where it originates, and that really brings it home. One of the things that really blew my mind more than anything was how the different churches participated in this. I knew some of that, but to find out to what level they participated and how they, I knew how, they used the Bible against, to enslave people, to say, obey your master, or this is proper, taking the word of God and twisting it and manipulating it. And then to find, you had the Catholic Church, the Dutch Church, Scandinavia, you had all of these different religious organizations participated in this and saw nothing wrong. While they were torturing our ancestors, while they were raping them, while they were starving them, killing them, prepping them to be slave or enslaved, going through all of that, and then to say, you fast forward in the United States and you have the race wars. They're trying to me, it feels like they're trying to push us towards a race war, us against them. And I look at it that they don't realize we're all one people, it is amazing to me that we don't have to fight. There's enough resources around that we can share. It's just recognize I'm a human just like you. I bleed red like you, and, to find out how they treated their, I call mongoloids or half-breed children, the children from the rapes,
Yeah.
that they, because they could pass for white or they were light enough, how they use them to exert authority over their darker brethren and sisters, and
so they were doing kind of like the house slave, field slave, even in the dungeons.
Right.
That mentality, I should
right.
say. So they would use the lighter skinned children of the slave master, if you will, or the generals, and then use them to basically say, watch these other slaves and keep them.
And you're better than them because you're educated or because you're lighter than them. And when you look at that in America, where you have light against dark, even in our own race,
to this day,
right?
To this day,
and you look at different things and you put it in perspective. Our parents taught us that you're no better than anybody else. I know my mom used to drill that in my head daily. You're no better. Just by the grace of God, there go you. You could suffer different things. So you don't need to carry yourself like you're better than anyone else, because they have the ability to do the same things or more. And you don't know circumstances that led them to certain things, so we always were balanced. And, I feel for our children, sometimes you have some parents that raise your children in, I call, a balanced atmosphere, but then you have those who let the kids just run amok and, raise themselves and, you better take it, get yours before somebody else, and that crab in the barrel mentality is destroying us on so many levels. And, we don't fight for our education. I, even hear a lot of people who have their masters at a minimum, where a lot of people at home just have a high school diploma or maybe a bachelor's, and they're fine with that, But and there, you just say you hunger for more, you want more for your people, you want more for yourself. And now where you were shaky and said, I don't know if I could do this or if I'm gonna try this. Now you say, I can do this. They could survive all of that. Why can't I do this?
And that's what you understand after seeing what the ancestors who made it through.
Right.
You can look and say, hey, you know what? If they can make it through, I'm a descendant of that.
Right.
And now I can overcome. And let me ask you what your thoughts are about the people here in Ghana. When you saw them working and living, what are your thoughts about just them in general?
I looked at them that they have a tenacity, a ethic of no matter what, they're always hustling, doing their. You have a few that beg, but you have a large majority that try to sell you something. They share their craft with you so you can buy their wares, and they have more than one skill. Some of them speak multiple languages.
Yes.
Most of us only speak English and Ebonics.
That's true.
You might have a little, or even Pig Latin,
Yes.
Can't leave that out.
Yes.
But, you have very few of us that speak Spanish, French, Chinese,
Or even
Japanese.
even indigenous African languages.
Yeah.
Like Twi or Swahili. Right. So right.
The different dialects and stuff. And then to, know that, even when you go in the Caribbean, a lot of them, they don't associate with here. They don't come back to their roots either to know that they descended from Africa, the motherland, that they too.
I've heard that. I've heard people from Jamaica, from Haiti, I'm going back through some Barbados. They will say, I'm not African. And to be historically correct, there were a lot of indigenous people in the Americas and what we know as North, Central, and South America who they did have melanin in their skin. And they did not originate, meaning they're not of African descent per se. But when you understand the history of that trade, once you understand that it was a global trade, and so there were people moving from there, they were going all over. So even some of those people who were indigenous to the Americas were being brought back over because that's just how things were working. But when you can look and clearly see genetically, and someone says, I'm not that, it's like they're missing out. What I realized, because growing up in South Carolina, a lot of my family said, we're not African. And I'm thinking I'm looking at them, I'm saying, if you're not, I want to know where you came from. However, but to your point, that it's almost like we miss out on something because we don't want to associate with the place that has all the resources, all the wealth, all of the different things. So when you said it, it just reminded me of that. Have you observed in your journey when people say that? Why do they say, "Well, I'm not this, I'm not that"? What, in your opinion?
To me, I think they feel that it makes them less than or inferior.
To be African.
To be African or to be Afro-American, to use the word Negro, colored. We are less than, we're not accepted. But if I can say that I'm
something else.
Yeah, I'm a Brit. I'm a European. I'm from France. I'm anywhere else that is you're more acceptable. But
a lot of people here feel that way too. A lot of people on the continent, in different countries I've been to, they aspire to want to be something other than African.
Because they feel, or they've been deceived to believe that they're less than or they're not enough. And that perception is hard to kill. Because I can't change a person's perspective.
Right.
I can only show them, only they can change their perspective. And so if I I've learned if I can control your thoughts, I can control you. And so you have to be careful what is being fed, what you ingest, what you believe. Because if you believe the lie, you live the lie.
A lot of people believe it, a lot of people live in it.
Right, and they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know that they're living the lie. And so when you tear down their reality or their truth, it's like you might as well call them out of their name or threaten their lives, because that's how they come at you. You know, that they're like, you're wrong, you're confused, you're the liar, you're the devil. You know,
you keep on going.
You know, it's so disheartening, and to see man's inhumanity to man. You know how we come. You know, you look around, you see. I call them frenemies. I refer to them in the corporate world as white horses. I come as your friend, but it's a hostile takeover. I learn your trade. I learn what you do to take and capture your resources and to, you know, disassemble you.
Wow.
And I start out as a frenemy.
That sounds like a Trojan horse. That sounds like so many tactics that have been used.
Right. And those things were used on our ancestors. You know, some were promised a better life. Some were promised, you know, if you help me, I'll help build your community. But
they still do that. It's still happening.
True.
Everywhere.
True.
In America, the new casino that comes to town, we're going to put money back into the schools. We're going to make sure that you have the best of these proceeds. We're going to give you jobs. And then they come in and get all the resources from the people. Same thing they do here in Africa.
Gentrification.
Yeah.
It's a global. It's a global, and I think it's a concept, and people see that it works, so they use it to gain.
It works very well. Why do you think our young people should come?
Reason I think our young people should come is multifaceted to me, because most of them don't believe they're going to ever reach old age, whether that's 40, 50, 60, 70. They don't believe. The average youth that's in the street thinks they won't get past 30. They have no hope because they don't see achieving it. And so the reason I say to bring them, to open their eyes, to say that you can aspire, you can do something else. Look from the stock you come from, what they endured, what they went through. If they survive this, and to put it in perspective, we are the answer to their prayers. Our descendants, we are doing better than they. We had it better than they. But at the same time, we try to teach ours not to be takers, to be loving, to be givers, to be community. And now we're not a community in a lot of times in even our neighborhoods. We don't necessarily know our neighbors.
Right, so it's even, that's, yeah.
And I think the kids, we need to go back to the basics where, you know, we used to say, who your mama, who your daddy?
So
you know,
it's still that community.
That community, that love, that pride, you know, in them, to let them know you were taken from the best of the best.
Let me throw this question your way. In listening to your response, someone might perceive that as maybe children who might have troubles, maybe, you know, disadvantaged children or children who are facing some sort of identity issue or some challenge in America. Now, the question is, what about those children who have everything? Their parents made sure they went to private school, they don't miss any meals, they are doing relatively well in school, they go to soccer, football, ballet, they have everything they could ever want. They are just living the life. How do you think those children would benefit from coming here?
I'd say for them too, it's an identity thing, because some of them things have been handed to them so much that when they get the slightest hiccup in the road, they fall to pieces. Like if they've been A students all their lives and all of a sudden they get a B, that's their world. They almost want to kill themselves or whatnot. And they need to know that it's nothing wrong with getting a B if that was your best. Mm-hmm. You know, what did you learn? What was your takeaway? You know, what can you learn? Even the most studious child, most of them still don't know this history.
Okay. So I see where you're going with this.
So I think it's beneficial to all, no matter what your economical or sociological circumstances. It's beneficial because if you see where you started, you see the struggle, the pain, the that they endured, but you also see the survival, the strength, you know, and the faith to know that God was gonna make it better at some point. In the faith, you know, some of them didn't live to see, you know, ownership, you know, of owning land or having children, and you determine who you want to marry, and you know, and you got a chance to keep your families together where other people made decisions for you. You could have been married, you might not have, but they just said, oh, we want to put you two together. You know, we're going to take your child and send them somewhere else
to understanding that part of their history. Because again, I know a lot of people in Western, and now I'll generalize Western culture, they intentionally shield their children from this knowledge. They intentionally do it because they have disconnected from it. Some of them even know it, but they'll say, oh, we just need to move past that. We just need to move on with things. That's old news. You know, let's forget that and let's keep on moving. What do you say to that parent who may think like that? Because there are a lot, I'm telling you, there are a lot of them out there. They are in this space of shielding their children from the realities of this history, and they have almost embraced the mindset of the colonizer. To say, it's almost like some of these parents are proponents of erasing this history from the history book. So what do you say to a parent who may be, and I know that may be a interesting kind of question.
My question would be, are you an advancer or an enabler? If I'm an advancer, then I share all knowledge, whether it's painful or not. If I'm an enabler, I'm going to pacify it, I'm going to water it down, and I'm going to feed you what I think you can handle, and keep you away where things I think I really know you can't handle. But how does that prepare me? How does that really strengthen me? How do I gain my strength, my tenacity to know that I'm truly an overcomer? And it's not something I read in a book, you know, like, you know, it's one thing to read something. I'll use the Bible as an example, where we're taught we are overcomers through Christ Jesus. But how do I put in perspective when I come against an obstacle and I do all I can do, I reach out to my friends or whatever, and I just want to give up. And some people are saying, you know, you might as well give up, you know, you did your best and blah, blah, blah. But where does it come in where I say, I can do this? And now I actually see it has been done. You know, not the superficial, but it was one thing to have head knowledge. It's another thing to have heart knowledge.
Yes.
And to connect the two. And you really have, I don't want to say awakening because that's the wrong word, but you connect the dots that you understand it from a different perspective. Once you gain the knowledge, nobody can take it from you. Once you gain, like they say, experience is the best teacher. Once they experience this, they'll never forget it. And you'll never look at this place the same. You'll never look at your history the same. You know?
I got it.
You'll never look at your faith the same, just like going to the Holy Land. Once I understood and traveled the cities, the roads and stuff, they're like the 23rd Psalm. If you really understand what was happening, you'll never read the 23rd Psalm the same way, because you then realize God is a protector. You know, and even what our ancestors endured, you know, to a degree, the ones that made it, who protected them? Who, even though they endured so much pain and atrocities, who protected them to take them from this continent to North America?
That's interesting, and that's one of the questions I'm sure a lot of people when they come on this journey, because like you were talking about, when they start to see the involvement of some of the different religious institutions, they kind of look and now they have different questions. And so that's another part of it, another piece of the puzzle, or another perspective that they can consider, I should say. And then I'm even thinking about how when you have those different parents, and you have people who are so disconnected from this part of the world, it's almost like when they walk through, and this is something I thought about, when they walk through, whether it be the dungeons or walking around and being around the people, it now causes them to start asking more questions. It's like when you're like, wow, what about this and what about that? What about this? And that's what I've discovered on every level. When people come, they're like, wow, I've lived this long thinking like this. What else don't I know? And I think that's what, when we start looking at the value and the importance of taking trips like this and having these types of experiences and seeing things for yourself, now someone else does not shape the narrative for you. You can shape the narrative for yourself, and you can walk away with it the way that you need to. So, well, I want to thank you for joining us. I think that, as you go back and you start telling people about it now, because I threw some questions your way and you handled them. I was like, let me see if she can handle this. Let me see. And so you came back pretty good there. Let's see, she was pretty good. So I think that now what you do is you go take that back to everyone you know.
And I intend to be a facilitator and doing some connecting, because I think I run in different circles, professionally, personally, that will benefit. I have friends that have a desire to come to Africa, and so I know they will be in touch. But now I even shot some of the photographs home to whet their appetite, and to say, you really need to come. Yeah. Check it out for yourself.
And people respond to these videos, and people respond to other people telling them, because it's like we have to just keep, when I was interviewing Diane Isiozzi, Diane said when I first started talking about it, she brushed it off. She was like, that long flight, and then, but here they're here. She had the time of her life. Yeah. I have the proof. If she ever tries to come back and say, I didn't, I said, well, what's this video right here say? I got you dancing. So, but that's how we do it. Each one of us has a network of influence. So again, Millie, I want to thank you for joining us on this trip. And
I say thank you.
Well, thank you
for inviting me, and I want to thank you for doing what you're doing. Many people wouldn't have the courage or the tenacity or the integrity to do what you're doing. And I just want to encourage you, keep doing it. And if it's something I can help you do in the future to help facilitate this to further reaching,
absolutely,
look me up.
I will. I got you right here. You're part of the team now. All right, everybody. Again, make sure you join us on one of these amazing African adventures. One of the countries that we facilitate these experiences. I say tour so you understand what I'm talking about, but it's really experiences that you can take and share with others. This is how we chip away at the walls of misinformation that we've been taught for generations. And it's each one teaching one, reaching one. That's how we do it. So check out MaximumImpactTravel.com. You can follow me at JCameronOfficial on IG, and please make sure you subscribe, like, and share Maximum Impact with J. Cameron on YouTube. Until next time, we'll see you.